For our closing keynote speaker, it is my pleasure to welcome Canadian Olympian Sarah Wells. Sarah is an Olympic 400-meter hurdler with a reputation for overcoming challenges and achieving the impossible. She made her debut at the London Olympics in 2012, which came despite an injury that had her sidelined for months just the year before. After competitive sports, Sarah has made her career in coaching organizations such as RBC, Salesforce, P&G, CIBC, and Bell on how to build more resilient teams. Thank you, Sarah.
Hello, I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I am honored to be your closing keynote speaker. I hope you guys have had such a blast in everything you've been able to learn over the last few days. And I'm wondering, I know this is going to be weird because I can't actually hear you, but if you could do me a favor and just clap your hands twice as fast as you can, go. Okay, I caught some of you off guard, I have no doubt. So let's try this again. Clap your hands twice as fast as you can. Go. Okay, that was pretty good. I'm disappointed in myself. I think we can do better. As fast as you can, go. Okay, that last one. That probably took like, what, half a second? What is the difference between epic success and total failure? Happened in that half a second. As an Olympic track athlete, that half a second can be the difference between winning an Olympic gold medal or walking away empty-handed, quickly forgotten. Now, I know you and I are in different industries. You're like, why do we have an Olympian here? I don't need to learn how to run. But I've never seen the things that I've learned in sport be more applicable than they are today with all of the challenges we're facing. And so today I want to walk you through something that I've created called the momentum model. And it's how you can both build and apply resilience in challenging times. And so to give you a high level overview, let's jump over to my iPad here. And I want to walk you through how this works, because anytime you have a big dream goal, this North Star goal up here, well, the first thing you often have to do is assess where you're at, right? And so in this bubble here, you're going to assess where you're at. And that's simply a matter of gathering the facts. Where am I at right now? Where am I trying to go? And what are the things and resources I have that are at my fingertips currently? And so this assess phase is number one. Then next, when we have a big goal, that North Star goal up here, well, after we've assessed where we're at, gathered the facts, well, now we need to start making choices. And we need to choose where we're going to focus our attention, because we can't do everything at once. And so now looking at our list, gathering all our facts, where are we going to focus our energy and effort, and how are we going to make those choices? Once we've assessed and now we've looked at our list and made those choices, well, now ultimately that enables us to create our action plan. And so step 3 is to start acting. And here is where we actually start taking tangible steps forward. And after we've done this, once around, we've assessed, we've made choices, then we've acted, well, now we actually might take one small step towards that North Star goal. But now we're in a new position than we were before. And so we have to actually come back to this assess phase down here. Okay, well, where are we at now? Where are we now in relation to the goal? What new resources have come into play? And then we make choices, but then we act. And then maybe we've taken a small step towards that North Star goal again. And what's amazing is this process of assess, choose, act, it's absolutely helping you take steps towards whatever that goal is. But what the byproduct is that's amazing is that you actually start to become really efficient at this process, assess, choose, act, assess, choose, act. And as you gain that efficiency, when an obstacle comes along, something you might not have expected, let's say coronavirus. This is my best attempt at a hurdle. Hopefully you guys see that. When a hurdle obstacle comes along, well, if we define resilience as the ability to bounce back quickly, well, then guess who's going to be able to get back on track and get back towards reaching for that North Star goal faster than anyone else? Well, it's going to be you, because you have the exact process that you're ready to apply almost instantly. Because you think to yourself, okay, well, what do I do with this new information? I'm going to assess what resources, what's changed, what do I have here? And then you're going to choose, okay, well, where should I put my focus? What can I create change on? And then you create that action plan and start to take steps forward. And so this process, the momentum model, allows you to apply the 3 steps: assess, choose, act, to not only build resilience, start taking steps towards a goal, but then apply it when these obstacles arise, likely unexpectedly. And so this is what we're going to walk through today, the momentum model, and how we can apply that to your life day in, day out, and teach it to some of your clients. So as the intro mentioned, I'm a Canadian Olympic athlete. Now, a fun thing that not many people know is that I was also a contestant on The Amazing Race just recently. Most recent season, you have Crave TV, you can check it out, season 7. So The Amazing Race was an insane experience, like insane experience. For those of you that don't know what The Amazing Race is, it's basically like an epic scavenger hunt all across the world, except for in my season, it was just in Canada. Big regrets. And you have checkpoints. And so there's different legs of the race. And you have to do a bunch of challenges and make sure that you get to the checkpoint. As long as you don't get to the checkpoint last, you move on to the next one. And there's 10 legs of the race, and it's this crazy, wild experience. But the strangest part is that you actually have to fall off the face of the earth for the entire length of filming. You can't have any contact with the outside world. You have no phone, no laptop. You like completely disconnect. And it's part of the survival mode of not being able to like Google search and figure out and find the ways, to find the location of the challenges or whatever it may be. And so my training partner friend, his name is Sam, and Sam and I were Amazing Race contestant partners on the show. And we had to pause everything in our life. We had to fall off the face of the earth. We couldn't tell people where we were going because it was a secret. We had to turn down speaking engagements, walk away from certain things we'd already committed to. We couldn't talk to our family or partners that whole time. And we were committed to this because we wanted to win the Amazing Race. And we knew it would be an exciting and lifetime opportunity. And so we go and do this thing. And they don't tell you anything. And when we arrive, we find out that the start of the Amazing Race Canada was going to be in Toronto. Now that's where Sam and I are from. And so we were excited, like, okay, hometown advantage, first leg of the race. We're going to crush this. This is going to be amazing. And we're mentally prepping for this. And for weeks and weeks, we've been like getting ready for this moment. And so then the host of the show, his name's John. John says, race safe and have fun, go. And we sprint towards the first clue, which we can see like across of a courtyard where we were. And we rip open the clue and we read it. And it's like, okay, go to this recording studio on Queen Street West. And we're like, we're from Toronto. We know exactly where Queen Street West is. And it was just up the road. But of course, it's a very long street. And so we start running like, yes, okay, Queen Street, this way. And then we're like, what the heck are we doing? Everyone else is jumping in cabs. Like, why are we trying to run there? We're fast, but we're not that fast. And so we get finally into a cab and we show up at the first challenge at this recording studio and we have no idea what to expect. And we end up kind of back of the pack, or maybe 7th or 8th out of 10 teams that arrive. And so we're like, shoot, we're not in the front. Like, this is annoying. And only one partner could go and do the challenge. So Sam goes and does it. And I'm left at the front of this building with all the other partners of the different contestants. And so all of our partners are at the back doing this challenge and we have no idea what this challenge is. And so at first it's nice. I'm meeting the other contestants. I'm getting to chat with them. But then one group comes out and he's like, okay, I got the next clue. Let's go. And so that partnership leaves. And then there's another one that comes out and they leave. And then a third one and a fourth one. And eventually there's only 3 of us left in the room. And then there's only 2 of us left in the room. And then 2 hours later, there was only 1 team left in that room. Sam and I. Now, I have no idea what to expect. And I remember having this moment where I was sitting against, or there was like a big glass window in the waiting area. We have just turned off everything in our lives to be here, to win the Amazing Race Canada, to like make this happen. And now in the very first day, on the very first challenge, we are 2 hours behind. And I remember putting my forehead against this window, just being like completely defeated, looking out the window, happened to be raining. And I was like, oh my God, we're already going to lose the Amazing Race Canada. Like, this is embarrassing. And finally, Sam comes running out of the back room, and I'm like, oh my God, okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. We get in the cab, we're like on our way to the next clue, and we're like quickly panicking to figure out what we have to do there. And then when we finally figure that out, we're still in the cab ride, and so we have a moment to talk. And I'm like, okay, tell me what happened back there. And he was like, Sarah, I spent so much time. They gave us a script, and I was memorizing it because I thought we had to go into the studio and recite this script. But when I got into the studio booth after memorizing it for like an hour and a half, the script was right on the booth. And what you actually had to do was you had to do the recording with the unique voices of all the different characters and come up with all the different pauses, and timing had to be right. And so he wasted all this time memorizing the script when he actually just had to go and apply it and get practice on doing the different character voices. And so we are just out of our minds, frustrated and annoyed. We're like, oh, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe we're 2 hours behind. And like the next challenge comes along and we're just like out to lunch, like we're just not present. And then the next challenge comes along, we're just feeling so defeated, like we're never going to catch up. I can't believe we're going to be eliminated already. And then we get a clue that says, go to the airport. And we have to go to the airport and we have to fly all the way to British Columbia from Toronto, Ontario. And there was only 2 flights. So though we were in 10th place by 2 hours, we actually catch up to 5 of the teams because there's only 2 flights. And so we all get on the plane, we fly to BC. And on that plane ride, Sam and I just took a second. We're like, okay, we've been panicking. Like all these challenges, we're slipping further and further away because we're getting so worked up about what we should be doing and how we should be in front. And so we just need to focus on like what's in front of us, continue to take steps forward, and that's how we're going to climb back to the top. And so when the plane touches down and we like run out of the airport to go to the next challenge, I'm like, we're so committed to focusing. We're so committed to being so present. And we do the other challenges. We start gaining some momentum and we don't know where we're at because all this chaos ends up happening. But finally, we rip a clue and it says, go to the checkpoint, go see John, the host. And so we go to the checkpoint, we're running up to it and we're like, we don't know where we are. Hopefully we're not last. What place could we be in? And as we run up to the mat, we step down on it. And John, the host of the show, says, Sarah and Sam, you're team number 2 to arrive. Team number 2. Are you kidding me? After everything we had just gone through, we were in 10th place by 2 hours, and now we were team number 2. We could not believe it. It was insane. It blew our minds. And I honestly attribute it to us sitting on that plane ride and deciding that we were going to be very present, not focusing on where we needed to be, what we should be doing, but instead what we were doing. And that's where that first step of the momentum model, step 1, the assess factor, enabled us to actually get second on that first leg of the race. And right now, with everything that's going on, when you're feeling a sense of overwhelm, where can you just like stop? Pause and process. Pause and process is a big part of the assess phase. And get the facts, gather what's around you, and don't attach emotional interpretation to what that means. It's not about saying, okay, I'm here right now. The thing I need to do is way over there. Oh my God, and look at all these steps I have to do in between. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to do this. Why would I even try to do this? I'm insane. I'm silly for even thinking about this. This is stupid. Don't do that. In assess, you simply want to pause and process. Where can you do that in your life? In those moments when you start to feel overwhelmed, pause and process. Now, when we finish up the amazing race, or not finish up, but finish that second leg of the race, we made a commitment to ourselves that we would keep pausing and processing where we can. And the second step in the momentum model is after you pause and process, you have to start to choose where you're going to focus your attention and where you're going to make those choices. And it's silly to even talk about choices sometimes with the Amazing Race Canada because simply the Amazing Race tells you the challenges are preset. The clues tell you where to go. You're stuck with the exact same partner the entire time of the Amazing Race. And so you can't just pick up and leave. And, it can kind of feel like your hands are tied in many moments. But we would always remind ourselves that you always have a choice in the mindset that you adopt when facing your next challenge. Right now, regardless of how much your hands feel tied with everything going on in the world, you always have a choice in the mindset that you adopt when facing your next challenge. Now, in my sporting life, It was a little more challenging at times, I feel like, to remind myself to focus on choosing what I could actually control. Because of course, many of us, when we start to choose where to focus our attention, those things that we can't control, they just build up and they grab our attention quite regularly. And that was certainly the case for me in sport. Now, look, I was not always a good athlete. I actually got cut from every single high school team I ever tried out for. Basketball, volleyball, soccer, badminton, you name it, I got cut. I was so convinced I was the least athletic human on the planet. And I know that's hilarious to say as someone who eventually makes the Olympic Games, but I seriously thought I just wasn't athletic. Because until track and field came around in the spring, and they don't make cuts, so I made that team. And I found hurdles and I fell in love with the sport and I happened to be kind of good. And only then did I start to actually really see myself as like, oh, like maybe I am good at sports. And then, oh, maybe I could win a national championships. And then, oh, maybe I could make the Olympic Games one day. But it had become, a big part of my identity. And so the year before my very first Olympic Games, I was at a training camp down in Florida doing 2-a-day workouts. And not just completing these workouts, but like crushing the workouts because I had to crush the workouts. I had a tiny thermometer of stress in the back of my brain, constantly reminding me, the Olympics are coming. You got to be training. You got to do your best. Everyone else is doing better. And so I was doing everything I could in order to make this dream come true. In the morning after the biggest workout of the week, I got out of bed, I stepped down, and I got this searing pain at my leg. And instantly I was like, no, 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 oh my gosh, this can't be happening. I don't have time to be injured. This is the year before the Olympics. I don't have time. And the reason I didn't have time was because at that point in my career, I had never touched Olympic standard before, never come close. I had only ever run 56 seconds for the 400-meter hurdles, and I needed to run 55 seconds in order to qualify. Now, at the beginning of today, I had you guys all clap twice as fast as you can. And we talked about the importance of half a second in my sport. And so having to improve an entire second was like an eternity. I needed every day, every week, every month in order to make this dream come true. I didn't have time for this injury to be taking away any of that. And so when I feel this pain through my leg, I freak out. And we do everything we can to be like, okay, what could this be? And maybe let's rest, let's work through this, but it doesn't go away. So eventually I go and see a special sports medicine doctor in my hometown in Toronto. And when we do an MRI, which some of you may have had, but it's basically like a fancy x-ray, we find out that it wasn't something small, and it certainly was not going to go away quickly. What I had done was I had developed a stress fracture in my femur. Now, your femur is your biggest thigh bone, your biggest bone in your entire body. And a stress fracture is a deterioration of that bone from the inside out that eventually leads to a crack. So I've been training my entire life for this moment, this Olympic Games, this thing in front of me. And now the biggest bone in my body is just breaking in half. When the doctor told me this, like my heart sank. I was so like, I didn't understand it. And maybe some of you felt this way when March of this year, the world seemingly like blew up, where you had worked so hard for something, like everything was right there, it was like almost in reach. And now you just felt like you watched that slip away. That's exactly what I felt like sitting in the doctor's office that day, hearing him tell me that I had to stop training. No walking, no jogging, definitely no sprinting and hurdling. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know if you heard my goal. Like, I'm trying to make the Olympics. How long do I have to sit out for? And the doctor was like, well, I think you have to sit out for 3 months. 3 months? I don't have time to sit out for 3 months. Are you kidding me? I'm trying to make the Olympic Games. That night when I went home, I was just bawling my eyes out. Because like I said, I wasn't good at anything else. This was the only thing. And now, like, would my friends still like me? Would people still respect what I had to say? Like, was the entire world about to be flipped upside down? All my friends at that point would introduce me as, oh, this is my friend Sarah. She's trying to make the Olympics. Isn't that cool? What if they couldn't do that anymore? Maybe some of you had awards or accolades or things that defined you, that you felt like you needed to get this year in order to keep that respect, to keep engaged with the people that you wanted to, like the crowds you wanted to be involved in, and they seemingly evaporated. That sucks. I remember that night only falling asleep when I was too exhausted to keep on crying. But the next morning, for the very first time in this injury journey, I chose to get back up, because I went to my physiotherapist and we decided to talk about, okay, how can we stay fit? What are the things we can do that are non-weight bearing? What are the things we can do to stay motivated, to stay within reach of that goal, so that maybe when I am cleared to run in 3 months, that maybe this goal still is possible. And this was like a moment of inspiration where I felt like, okay, maybe this is possible. And I am climbing back to the top of that mountain. But then I would go home and I would cry myself to sleep and I would question my self-worth and I would consider giving up. But then I would get back up. And then I would go to my physiotherapist and talk about how we could stay fit, how we could stay motivated. What are the things we could do to stay within reach of that goal, just to try? And then I would fall off the edge of the cliff and then question my self-worth and consider giving up. And it was just this roller coaster ride. And I'm sure many of you listening today have felt that experience over the last 6 months. And it's exhausting, isn't it? Now, after going through those 3 months, the worst 3 months of my whole life at that time, I remember the day I was finally going to have my next doctor's appointment 3 months later. And I remember sitting in the doctor's office on his table, waiting for him to come in. And the second that he did, I started swinging my legs. I was like, okay, can I go? Can I train? Is it healed? And the doctor walks over and he pulls up our new scan that we had done. And he looks at it and he's like, Sarah, I'm so sorry. The bone's still not healed. Come back in another month. Another month? I just sat out the worst 3 months of my whole life and you just want me to sit out another month. And that 4th month turned into 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. 9 months, the year before the Olympic Games, I was just sitting around. Everyone around me reminded me to remain realistic. I had to watch teammates and friends and competitors get better, get faster, get stronger, while I watched my dream slip away. I honestly believed them many times that I should stop trying to do this, that this was so impossible. But after sitting through the worst 3 months or 9 months of my entire life, they were right that physiologically I wasn't getting faster, better, stronger. But what I was strengthening was a muscle people couldn't see. And that was my self-belief. And so after going through the worst 9 months of my entire life, on the day I was cleared to run, the day, I was allowed to go to the track and jog around a few times. And after doing those few laps around the track, I immediately left the track. And I was like, you know what? I have 6 months to get back to who I was and then improve an entire second in order to make this Olympic dream come true. Now, that does seem impossible, but you know what? If anyone can do this, it's me. I'm going to choose to believe in me. And so after doing those few jogging laps around the track, I left and I went to the tattoo parlor. Really interesting recovery technique. Sure, you never heard of it. No, but what I decided to do is go to the tattoo parlor and get the word believe tattooed onto my wrist. Now, let me say this. I am not suggesting that we all have to tattoo ourselves of our goals. That's not what I'm saying. But what I do strongly suggest is that you think about what is your word or phrase or quote or thing that reminds you of all of the obstacles you've already overcome, that reminds you of the strength that you have inside, that reminds you to choose to get back up. So with 6 months to go and the word believe tattooed on my wrist, I set out to start training. You know, I had inch by inch, month by month, insert cliche line here. I slowly got better and better. And suddenly I now knew at the Olympic trials, 6 months later, if I won that race, I was going to the London Olympic Games. And I remember the day of that race, standing behind my blocks, just kind of freaking out, being like, oh my God, like this is the moment. I have to win this race. Like, I want this Olympic dream. And I was just swaying back and forth, so nervous, like everything shaking. I can't handle it. And then the starter says the scariest words: on your marks. Hate those. And I start getting into my blocks. And all I was thinking was, I hate this sport. I'm so scared. I'm so nervous. Look at the girl in the other lane. She looks bigger, faster, stronger. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't. Set. Bang. Gun goes off. I come out of my blocks as fast as I can. I remember hearing the announcer over the PA system say, "That's Sarah Wells in lane 4." I was like, dude, shut up. I'm trying to focus. Coming around the final corner, every ounce of my body is flooded with lactic acid, that burning sensation you get when you run as hard as you can. I get over the final hurdle. I charge to the finish line. I lean. And I look up at the scoreboard. And I won. I won the Olympic trials. And I was going to the London Olympic Games. I couldn't believe it. 6 months before that, I was like getting destroyed, getting so beat by people I should have never been getting beat by. And now, 6 months later, I won the Olympic trials and was going to the London Olympic Games. And after going to the games and not just making it there, but then finishing as an Olympic semifinalist and one of the youngest competitors in the field, I came home and I finished that Believe tattoo with the Olympic rings underneath, exactly where I told myself I would. And you know what? This is insane. Again, I'm not saying you need to tattoo yourselves of your goals, but I see how powerful it is to choose to believe in you, to make that choice, to focus your intention where you can actually create tangible action and change. And I actually challenge you to think about, what is your word? And honestly, I'd love to see you in the chat right now. What is that word for you? Is it strength? Is it courage? Is it perseverance? Is it grit? What is that word? And then honestly, I really want you to write it down. You don't have to tattoo it on your body, but put it somewhere where you can see it. Because I honestly saw how powerful this can be. In the moment, a little bit ago when I mentioned, people were right that I wasn't getting better, faster, stronger when I was injured. And so they were like, let's remain realistic. And then I said, they were right. I wasn't getting better, faster, stronger. But what I was strengthening was a muscle people couldn't see. And that was my self-belief. I know when I said that, some of you cringed. You're probably like, ew, gross. That's so cheesy. I hate this. Because we hear it all the time and we think it's for children. We think it's fluffy. We think it's for people who have their head in the clouds. Not for people like you and I. Not for people who understand reality. But I saw this work. And I saw this work quickly in 6 months. And so now, honestly, before every single race, I write onto my palms, I believe. Because what it actually means is it's not, believing in yourself isn't walking into a room and being like, I got this. I believe in myself. No, that's not what believing in yourself means. Because you're right, that is kind of unreasonable to expect you'll get your goals if you just start doing that. When I say believe in yourself, I mean that you are willing to have a goal so big, so ambitious, that some people think you're insane for having it. And then once you have that vision, you're willing to know that you might face challenges along the way, but you're willing to have the grit to know that you're going to face them and you're going to go for it anyways. And then as those challenges do arise, that you have the resilience to be willing to overcome every single obstacle on the path to that goal. That's what believing in yourself means, having that vision, grit, and resilience, being willing to go after that thing no matter what, because you believe so strongly that you will get that thing. That's what believing in yourself means, and that's why it's so powerful. Where can you choose to believe in you? Where can you choose to not let your circumstances define your outcome? Some of you are like, okay, Sarah, like, sure, I recognize I have a choice and I can make those choices, not let my circumstances define my outcome, but that's not my issue. My issue is, how do you make the right choice. Here's my laundry list of all the items my attention should be focused on, and how do I make the right choice? And with that, often people can be worried that when they make one choice over the other, that it's a sacrifice to the opposite thing. But I always say make choices, not sacrifices. And I say that because, the perfect example of this is actually from a friend of mine that he went to school in the US. And when he's from Toronto, where I'm from, and when he wrapped up university, he started applying for jobs that were over in Europe as well as back home in Toronto, because he hadn't seen his family and he hadn't invested in those relationships that he had back at home in Toronto. But at the same time, he wanted these other new and fun and different experiences over in Europe. And so he thought, okay, when he ends up getting both jobs, and he thought, well, what's the right choice? And he struggled with it back and forth and debated over and over again, pros, cons, like, what should I be doing? What's the right choice? And the only thing he promised himself at the end was, you know what? There kind of is no wrong choice. Like, they both need my attention. They both could be exciting. They both would provide an incredible opportunity. And so, you know what I'm going to do? No matter what choice I make, I'm going to invest in the unique opportunities that that choice provides. So in the case of choosing Amsterdam over in Europe, while his opportunity at home was to reinvest in his family and friends that lived at home again, well, if he chose Amsterdam, he wasn't going to take every vacation and every time off work that he had to fly back home and see his family, because then he wouldn't be investing in unique opportunities that that choice provided him. And in other words, what that means is he focused on the choice, not on the sacrifice. And so where can you, when you have that laundry list of all the things that need your attention, choose one of them and then invest in the unique opportunities that that choice provides? Because that enables you to have this choice mindset and focus on the choice, not on the sacrifice. So we've done assess, we've done choose. And if you guys recall, the third step is to act. And I just shared this story with you of in 2012, I make the Olympic Games after overcoming that injury. And that's awesome. That's super exciting. But the Olympics comes back around every 4 years. Just because you made the last Olympic Games does not guarantee you'll make the next Olympic Games. Now, for me, I had actually been continuing to develop as an athlete and get faster and stronger. And in 2015, right before the 2016 Rio Olympics, I won in 2015 a Pan Am Games silver medal. And I only lost to the #1 ranked girl in the world that year. And so this set me up for the next Olympic Games. I was now a medal hopeful. And, I knew that, and the media caught wind of that, and I'm doing all of this stuff around the Olympic hype. And that pressure, that stress, I started to feel that pressure. I started to feel that stress, and it started to affect the way that I made decisions. So 2 months before the 2016 Olympic trials, I had a workout on a Tuesday. And Tuesday, I ran so fast, probably the fastest I've ever run in my whole life. Tuesday night, I went to bed and I was just thinking like, okay, I'm going to go to the Olympics and then I'm going to win my medal and then I'll retire and then my life will be awesome. Perfect. Great. Right on track. Now the Wednesday after that workout, I wake up and my hamstrings, the muscle in the back of your legs, they were super, super tight, which makes perfect sense because I had just gone the fastest I had ever gone the previous day. And that's really normal. But when I look at my workout schedule for the Wednesday, I see that there's another really big workout on the plan. And in my head, I was like, well, there's another really big workout here and my hamstrings are super tight. So maybe I shouldn't work out today. But if I don't work out today, well, then I'm not doing everything I can. And if I don't do everything I can, then I won't make the Olympics. If I don't make the Olympics, I can't win a medal. If I don't win a medal, I'm going to let everyone down. And so I work out anyways. And I don't tell my coach that my hamstrings are really tight. And about halfway through the workout, my coach, he notices. He's like, Sarah, you don't really look like yourself today. You look a bit tired. Let's just call it here. Let's shut it down. Let's stop now. And in my crazy brain, I was like, no. I can't miss this workout. What should I tell him? What should I tell him? Oh, I know. Let's play a game. How about if I run the next interval slower, I'll stop. But if I run the next interval the same or better, you have to let me keep going. He's like, okay, crazy lady. No one asked for more running. Go ahead. And so I start this next interval. And I'm pouring everything into it because I have to run the same or better in order to keep going. And if you can imagine what it feels like to have a Ziploc bag full of air, tightly sealed, placed in the back of your leg, and then have someone just stomp on it, that's what it felt like when I face planted to the floor, ripped an inch tear in my hamstring, and 4 years after I thought I had already overcome the biggest obstacle in my career, I learned another hard lesson. I laid on the track bawling my eyes out. I knew it was bad. The noise that it made when my hamstring exploded sounded like a gunshot. I did everything I could in order to rush back. I got acupuncture, cryo chamber, shock wave, like laser therapy, you name it, I did it. Now I had 2 months in order to get back. I couldn't do any training. And I was just banking on the fact that I was in the best shape of my life right before I got hurt. So maybe I could just ride that wave. I had been a 4-time national champion. I had always won the race when I was in it. And I knew that top 3 make the Olympic Games. And so I thought, okay, as a 4-time national champion, I know top 3 make it. So even if I'm only like 90% healed, I should still be able to do this. Like, I believe in me, right? On the day of the 2016 Olympic trials, I'm like so superstitious. And so I start doing everything back the same way that I did it in 2012 when it all worked out for me. So I eat the exact same thing for breakfast. I call my mom the exact same number of hours out from the race. I stand behind my blocks, look at this tattoo, and say to myself over and over again, I believe in me. And when the gun goes off, I come out so fast, just like complete disregard for the fact I need to make it all the way around the track. And I haven't trained for 2 months. And so I come out and I am winning the race till halfway through. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm still good. Like I'm doing this. Like I can hold on here. Like top 3 make it. Stay here, Sarah. Like you've got this. Just, I want this so badly. No one wants this more than I do. And as we come into the final corner, the first girl comes into my vision. And I'm like, that's fine. Top 3, stay here, stay here. We're entering the final straightaway. As we get over the second last hurdle, the second girl comes into my vision. And I'm like, stay here. I need to hold on. 3rd place. I need to stay here. And we get over the final hurdle. And the 3rd girl comes into my vision. And as we charge the finish line, shoulder to shoulder, no, this is mine. This is mine. You lean. And I get 4th. And I miss qualifying by, do you want to guess how much? Half a second. Half a second. 4 years of work, 4 years of sweat, 4 years of my life, and in half a second. It was it. It was done. I remember when we left the track that day, we pulled into the driveway of the house we were staying at, and I couldn't go into the house. I couldn't go into the house because I couldn't accept that this pursuit was over. There wasn't one more good sleep for recovery, one more good session with my physiotherapist, one more night to heal my hamstring. It was just it. So instead of going into the house, I just kind of opened the car door and fell onto the driveway and laid in fetal position and cried because I felt like a complete failure. For 4 years, people would introduce me, stages and speaking engagements everywhere. Everyone, please meet Sarah Wells, the Olympian. And now, Sarah Wells, the Olympian, doesn't make the Olympics? It didn't add up to me. It didn't make sense. And I felt like such a failure. I thought that I would lose all respect from friends and family. I thought I would never get invited to do another speaking engagement again. I thought the whole world was like ending in front of my eyes. And after that moment laying in the driveway, I couldn't go back to the track. And I didn't go back for an entire year. because it was too hard. It was too painful. And in that year off, I questioned everything. Because for 4 years, I had been telling people, if you believe in yourself, you achieve your goals. But now I just believed in myself and I did not achieve my goal. And so is it all a joke? Is it this like sick joke that people tell you just to like make you feel better? And through a ton of reflection and a lot of time, I realized, you know what? I actually believe in myself more strongly after not making the Olympics, even more so than when I did. Because I was still a person willing to stand on the start line to go for it anyways, regardless of my circumstances. And that showed me a strength inside that I didn't know that I had. And so maybe you don't build self-belief through achievements. You build self-belief through action, through getting back up, through standing on your start line and going for it regardless of what's going on. In that year, that's when I developed all of the training and resources that I now get to do with corporations and people everywhere around how to build resilience. How can we help people face challenges and get through those tough times? And I would have never had the time or ability or just like feeling of empowerment to actually be like, I can go help people do that. I want to go help other people build self-belief through action. If I wouldn't have had that terrible moment in the driveway. And right now, with everything that's going on in the world, all of you have an opportunity to step up and be that person for your clients, to be the people that your role was created for, to bring bright insights, to hold their hand and walk them through this challenging time, through guide, be a shoulder, be an ear, be an advisor. Of course, that's what you were here for. And you get to step up to the plate and be that person and take all of the lessons you've learned and now apply them to this very important opportunity. Because the most important thing from the momentum model that we talked about earlier isn't in any one of those circles. Assess, choose, act. The most important thing, if you recall, is actually not in the bubbles. It's here. It's repeat. Assess, choose, act, repeat. Because your ability to continuously take those action steps relies on your willingness to constantly repeat the process. Now, if I jump back to the Amazing Race stuff, right? I let you guys know how the first leg of the race was insane and we were in 10th place by 2 hours, and then we come back and get second. The race continues and we actually are in it for a long time. Okay. And over halfway through, we've been going through leg after leg and they're trying to wear you down, right? It's a reality show. You're supposed to. And so we're doing challenge after challenge. We're sleep deprived. You don't eat, sleep, pee. You're just on chaos mode constantly. And more than halfway through, we get it to like leg number 7. I forget which one it is. And we end up going to Northwest Territories in the Arctic. And when we get there, we rip open the clue and we're going through all these challenges. And it just so happens that it is minus 30 degrees Celsius before wind chill in Northwest Territories when we're there. Now we're outside for hours and hours doing different challenges. And so I'm freezing already. Like I am done. I'm done. But when we rip open one of the clues, you know, through the day, it opens up and it said that me, Sarah, has to do the next challenge. And the next challenge is right in the biggest Arctic lake. They have carved out a tiny little block of ice out of this massive Arctic lake. They've carved out one block of it. Now the ice is 1 meter thick, 3 feet. And what they've done is they've hidden a clue in the water under the ice. And the entire lake is covered, except for the only other hole that is like a number of meters down the way. And so when I rip open this clue, I find out that I have to go into this Arctic water, dive under the ice, find the clue, and then somehow find the only other hole in this entire lake that's open to be able to come back up on the other side. Now, here's the thing. I can't swim. I can't swim. I never learned. I don't like water. I'm a land animal. And I have to do this challenge. I want to just show you a bit of what happens, okay? So let's watch this together.
Wow, it is cold.
Lord. Oh my gosh.
Turn around a little bit. That's it.
So scared, Sam.
You got this. You can do this. You can do this.
Okay. Step over here with me. Now you kneel down here, all right? You're gonna dunk your face in and out. Better for you. Just duck it in. I know it's cold. That's it, John, just keep on going. You're gonna be okay. Just relax, That's it, okay. I'm gonna put this mask on you right now, okay?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty nervous for Sarah right now.
All right, so I want you to put your feet in. Okay, just slide in. Focus. How are you feeling?
I'm so scared.
You can do this, all right?
Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So what ends up happening from that point forward is I have a full-blown panic attack on national television where I start hyperventilating because the water is so cold that I can't breathe. And so I'm like, and the technician who was there helping me get into the water, he's like, Sarah, I need you to calm your breath. I can't let you go until you calm your breath. And I'm like, okay. And eventually I've been in there so long and the water is so cold and I can't calm down that he's like, Sarah, we're gonna have to take you out. If you don't go now, we're gonna have to take you out. And I'm like, okay. And I take one calming breath and then like the shallowest gasp of air, I'm like, and I start to go under the water. And I'm like pulling myself down on the rope that they had there because you're so buoyant in the wetsuit, you have to get under the 3 feet of ice. And so I pull myself down and then I'm like, okay, and I have goggles on, so I should be able to keep my eyes open, but I'm petrified. So I keep my eyes closed the whole time. And so when I'm going down and I'm like, I've got to be down far enough and I go to move forward, I hit my head on the ice and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Tell my mom I love her. Like, oh my God. Like, I'm so convinced I'm done. And I consider actually going back up to the top. And for whatever reason, I don't. Thank God, because I don't know if I would have got back in. But I keep pulling down just like 2 more big pulls. And I finally get under the ice. And then I like open my eyes, like trying to find the clue. And I like eventually find it. And then I like go over, see the other hole. I'm like, where is it? And I'm panicking. I feel like I'm going to run out of air. And then I do find it. I come up to the top and I'm like, ah! And I see Sam on the other side and the other technicians. And I get up out of the ice and I was like, I hated everything about that. It was awful. It was the coldest and scariest thing I've ever had to do in my entire life. And after I did the show, so many people after the fact would say to me, what was your favorite challenge? What was your least favorite challenge? And both times my answer was this, because the ice challenge. And it was my least favorite challenge for obvious reasons. But it was my most favorite challenge because it forced me to step so far out of my comfort zone, something that I would have never been willing to do without the pressure of this race. And I think that's the beauty of the nature we're in right now, when we do get kind of forced to repeat, to start back at assess with new circumstances, new things at play. It forces us to redefine what's possible for us. Right now, with everything going on, what has changed in you specifically? And where can you highlight the fact that you've actually redefined what's possible for you? And if you haven't yet, how can you start putting yourself in a position to rise to the challenge so that you do redefine what's possible for you? It's a powerful, powerful tool. Now, this repeat is so important as well because, like I said before, it's going to allow you to pick the lessons you've learned up and apply that to your next opportunity. After going through the Amazing Race, number of series of challenges, and if you haven't, watched it or you hope to watch it now that I've spoke to you today, I'm about to ruin something for you, okay? So spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you how it ends, but still worth watching. In the end of The Amazing Race, Sam and I, we get second. There we go. We get second. And what's insane is that to win the Amazing Race Canada, the winners get $250,000, a trip around the world, and 2 cars. And guess what second place gets? Nothing. Nothing. And so we did every challenge. We ran every kilometer. We did all of the same stuff that the winners did, and we just fall short. It's like it's part of my brand or something now, you know? It's brutal. But we get second. And what's frustrating at that time is that we're not allowed to tell anyone. So we know we get second, but until the show starts airing, we can't tell anyone how it ends. And so week over week, our families, our friends, they see us continuing on leg after leg, and we make the finale. And what we decided for the actual finale viewing, we rented out a 500-person auditorium. And we decided that we wanted to share in this moment with everyone. And so we invited everyone, like, you got to be there. You want to be there. Come to the finale. We're doing this big thing. And because we made it such a big deal, I almost am certain that everyone thought we were going to win. And when we do this and we show the final finale on the big screen and everyone's in the auditorium and, you know, they now find out that we actually get second place. And the crowd like erupts in cheer and they're celebrating us for what we had done. But for me, I'm reliving that shortcoming. And we had gotten an MC for the event. And so when everyone erupts in cheer and it cuts to commercial break, the MC gets up on stage and calls Sam and I up. And in that moment, I just start to get emotional and I start crying. And the MC is like, you know, Sarah, we can see you're getting emotional. Like, tell us what's going on for you. And I stood up on the stage and I said, you know, we made this a really big deal. And we invited all of you here. And because of that, you probably thought we were going to win. But we didn't invite you here because we won. We invited you here because we didn't. And it is just as important to celebrate the shortcomings as it is to celebrate the successes. Because everything we learn will always be able to be applied and inspire our next chapter. And right now, no matter how much this year might have felt like a waste, maybe you had that lay in the driveway in a fetal position and cry moment like I did in 2016, no matter the moments where you felt like things were constantly falling short, they were never living up to your expectations, know that it is just as important to celebrate those moments of everything you've learned, of all of the things that we as a globe right now are learning and are going to be able to apply in the future, that is worth celebrating. Right here, right now, I hope that all of you have been able to see that if you can apply this momentum model, assess, choose, act, that you'll be able to start taking steps towards whatever that North Star goal is for you. But you'll also be able to apply it in those moments where those unforeseen circumstances show up, and you'll be the first one back on track to start applying that to your next opportunity. If you remember nothing else of what I've said today, I hope that you remember this final line. And that is, hard work isn't always going to lead to success, but being resilient will always lead to another opportunity for it. I'll say that one more time. Hard work won't always lead to success, but being resilient will always lead to another opportunity for it. I hope that today has been inspiring. Remember that momentum model, assess, choose, act. This has been such an amazing experience for me. Assess your situation, choose to take control, act to redefine yourself, and repeat to find your next opportunity. Thank you guys so much for having me. This has been a wonderful time. Please reach out if there are any other questions that we aren't able to get to today. I would love to hear from you guys. Let's keep this conversation going on LinkedIn, on social media. And I'd love to thank the DAC Acuity conference. This has been wonderful to be a part of with you guys. And make sure you do register for 2021. Hopefully we'll all be together by then. Thank you guys so much.